Hi everyone, it's April with Hair 101, and today we are going to transform her hair that is now into a blonde, easier to maintain hair color. So we did 3 scoops of Blonde Dimension Lightener by Redken, and then 3 ounces of 40 Volume Developer. And then we're going to do 1/4 of an ounce of OLAPLEX. So her hair right now, she had a weave of a red color, like a brown red. Actually, it looks like it was very red, but now it's faded. And some blonde. And then she has gray up here. It's probably 75%. And so we need to formulate for that. But for now, I'm going to be just using a 40 volume Blonde Dimension bleach. I already showed you guys how to mix that up, and it has OLAPLEX. And so the technique I have to use here is you have to be really careful because you can't overlap any of that bleach onto anything that's already light. So I'm going to be doing a heavy weave, and I'm going to be taking sections here. I'll kind of just show you what I'm going to be doing. So down here where it's all red and then gray, I'm going to be weaving out large chunks of the blonde and applying the lightener all over, and I'm going to be doing thin sections so that it's nice and saturated and gets really light because we want to get rid of all that red pigment. And then I'm going to be leaving little sections out because at the end we're going to be doing a paint between. So I'm going to put a little bit of conditioner in my bowl that I can paint onto her ends that are already really blonde when I get up to these sections up here where I have these blonde pieces coming in, because I'm going to be putting the lightener on her roots and then the conditioner on her ends to keep that in the foil so that there's nothing poking out of the foil, so that when we do the paint between in the end, she's not going to have any polka dots on her blonde because everything's going to be safely packed away in the foils. And then also where it's a little bit thicker up here with the brown, we're going to change that pattern a little bit. So this weave might look something like this, like I'm taking out chunks of the brown here, and all of this would go in a foil to lighten, but then I'd be leaving out, all of that would be in one foil, but then when we come back in here, we have these little pieces that are still brown. These little pieces would get left out to be added with the dark. So we're just changing the pattern a little bit as far as the brown goes. We're adding more blonde, but still leaving some of the brown, just smaller pieces through so that she has some dimension in her hair. She doesn't want to be all over blonde. So that's what we're going to do. So just to get the conditioner to spread a little bit further, so I'm not using like a whole bottle of conditioner on her ends, I watered it down a little bit just to thin it out a little bit. Because mainly we just want a little bit of conditioning, but we want something to kind of stick it to that foil. So let's get started. We're going to part off her hair. And it looks like she parts on this side over here. So I want to make sure when I'm doing her part that I take about 1 inch below her part and do the mohawk a little bit off center, especially when we're doing someone that has gray that we're going to be painting between. If you forget to do this and you do the part right where they part their hair, if it's on the side, then they're going to have a little bit of root that shows on both sides. It's going to look like they have 1/4 of an inch of regrowth already right when they're done, because we're going to be putting the foil on her head kind of at a slant like this and going back. And so if we were to, like I said, do it straight on the top of her head, then the roll of the head would make it so those foils pull up a little bit because they're straight. So you can see how my comb's straight right there. So when we do the paint between, that much of the hair would be getting painted brown. So we want to keep that off of her part. So I have 4 sections. I have 1 on each side and then 2 in the back, and I have them all about the same width. I just kind of tried to see like about the foil, the width of a foil. And up here, since it's a little bit thicker, I'll probably do a few vertical foils over here on this fronts of her hair just to shorten this section a little bit more so it's not so big. I don't want to be stretching a foil all the way across. But I'm going to go ahead and start in the back. Whoops. And I'm starting in the back on her hair because we are lightening it so much. I want to make sure that I can watch watch it really close and go back to that when I'm done. And if this section is done processing, I could lean her back in the bowl and just rinse out this section. Hopefully we don't need to do that. And since it's so short back here, you can see most of it hasn't even been colored. It's not gonna be as easy to damage it back here either. So this little section that's falling out right here, I'm gonna go ahead and do that as its own little pie section. So let's just start right there and get that out of the way. And remember, anything that does get left out will be the brown color. So that's fine. I'm just gonna paint most of that down there, the brown color. I'm just gonna weave in a little bit. And she's not getting a ton of her hair cut off. If she was gonna go super short back here, I would leave most of it brown because you'll get polka dots where you do highlights if it's super short. But we are just kind of trimming up her A-line a little bit. So a few little highlights are gonna be fine. It's not gonna be a problem at all. That's something that you want to make sure you do in the consultation. I always go underneath and lock my foils in with that little tuck, just to make sure that there's not bleeding going on underneath and that it's in there nice and tight. And I'm using a generous amount of product, but don't push it up too high to the foil because this product does swell a little bit. Most lighteners do, unless you're using a non-swelling lightener, and you'll know if you are. But just be aware that it can swell a little bit, so you don't have to go all the way to the edge of the foil. You don't want to have it swelling over the edge and causing a bunch of bleeders. All right, so pretty much all of her hair back here was dark, so I haven't had to do any of the blonde with the tips in the conditioner yet. I'm just gonna keep working up until we start hitting it. So I'm just going to weave out some, you can see that I left some blonde down here. I'm gonna grab those in a minute. I'm just gonna put this foil. This is kind of how we're changing the pattern. I'm taking some of the brown, making it blonde. And then the foil below this is going to be split into two different categories. It's going to have a blonde that's just a retouch with the conditioner and then some left out. So we have to split this section into like 3 little categories. You're going to see right here. So here's the blonde. Those 2 pieces are going to be left out. And we're going to do just the natural hair in the lightener. And then the conditioner on her ends. And then I'm going to fold the foil just to where the line is from the conditioner and the lightener where they meet, just so it protects the conditioner from smearing onto that section of lightener, because you don't want to mix the lightener with the conditioner. That will just dilute it and it won't lighten as quickly. So you have to be really careful to make sure you fold the foil in the right spot. So once again, we're gonna do a weave. So here's another way you could do it. You could just weave out the blonde that is already in the section and leave the 2 pieces down. And then just kind of pick and choose in this foil which ends you paint and which ones you don't with the conditioner. So you do all the regrowth first. And then once you reach here, you can lift that piece or even kind of cross this piece over. And then you're gonna try to kind of separate the blonde from the dark here. So we're gonna cover all of this dark in the lightener. And then this piece over here that's blonde, you can just put a little bit of conditioner on that. So here's the thing. When you do it this way, it's a little bit harder because you don't want that to run together. So in this situation, I would just put another foil on the top of them and then fold them over. And that way it's keeping everything in its own little packet. Okay, I'm gonna leave this little 1.5 inch section out by her face because I'm gonna vertical foil it like I said, and then I have a good section over here that's a good length. And look at these little baby hairs. They're cute and everything, but I'm just gonna kind of let them fall too. We'll deal with them later. So I'm gonna move on over here, same thing, just weaving. You know, this is like a chunky weave. It's a little too thick right there. We're gonna start down here on this piece. Don't let this piece hide, you guys. You gotta get a little blonde in there. Sometimes I just have a little teeny piece behind the ear that wants to get away. So you can see I'm picking pretty large chunks for the blonde with like a smaller chunk missing for the brown in between. That's the way we like it. So I have a lot of people ask me, what do you do if you're like slower at weaving hair? Because the hair's gonna get damaged if it's in the foil for too long. Well, that's another good reason for you to maybe use OLAPLEX, because OLAPLEX actually slows the action of the bleach down and you have more time. It needs to sit longer. So if you are doing a heavy foil like this, it benefits it. So you're not gonna be having to worry as much about a long processing time for those first foils that you did. So a little thing to think about. So now that I'm done with that side, I'm gonna go over here and just start doing some vertical framing around her face. Just kind of weaving out little pieces. So here's a good example of the blonde. You can see there's a little bit in here that I'm gonna feather down, but then the rest of it's pretty light, and I'm just gonna put some of this conditioner on it. And then, like I said, if it's kind of like double there, I'll get the two foils out and just kind of fold them up. And it is a little bit thicker, but I just feel like it keeps everything more separated. So, and I didn't have to do those foils over here yet. I don't even know if I'm going to. Well, yeah, now I'm probably gonna have to because this is a really big section. So I'm gonna do a few foils over here, but she doesn't have as many little baby hairs on this side. So that's good. It's just where you kind of have your part over there. Oh, there's some. Hello. I mixed up another batch because I ran out, and that's always good, I think, on the top because it's nice and fresh. I actually like doing that. Okay, we are almost ready to mix up our paint between formula and put it on. And I'm just going through, you can see most of this is already light. I'm gonna add just a teeny bit more right by her part so it feels a little bit lighter. And I'm making sure I fold all my ends in here because, like I said, the paint between is gonna get a little bit messy. We don't want it to be on the ends of the blonde. So you can tell there's nothing hanging out that we don't want colored. All right, so usually when they start going like this and their head's back and I can tell that their head's hurting, I just step in front and weave from the front for a little while because then they can relax their neck and I don't have to pull as hard to get the angle I need anyway, so. Of course, my color is on the wrong side of me right now, but that's okay. Okay, I'm using the Beyond cover in the Chromatics line, and I'm mixing the 7NW with the 5BC. I did 1 ounce of the 7NW to 1/2 ounce of the 5, so I want it to be a little bit lighter. So we have 1.5 ounces in there. We're just gonna mix up 20 volume developer. As usual, make sure you use protection. You're gonna go through all of the sections like this. And then you're also going to make sure that you do all of the in-between sections. You'll kind of go in with the brush and just paint on both sides so that you're getting all of the partings, because that's very important. You don't wanna have these gray stripes in a T shape down the middle of their head. So don't forget that step. Okay, I just set a timer for 35 minutes and then we will check and make sure that the blondes are done, and if they are, we will rinse her out. I'm gonna peek at the blondes right now and they're looking good. So yes, we're just gonna wait 35 minutes. Yeah, they're still a little bit orange, you can see right there. Don't even need to open that foil. So it's 35 minutes will do it some good. So I'm gonna just pull out these foils. Nice. Now that they are a yellow where I can tone them with a violet, we're gonna go ahead and rinse her and she will be good to go. Trim her up and she will be out of here. So Shades EQ 9V, it's 3/4 of an ounce and then 1/4 of an ounce of crystal clear and then 1 ounce of processing solution. And you know what? I'm gonna go add a little OLAPLEX into this too, because I can. And I added just a little bit, like 1/16 of an ounce to my Shades EQ. Because here's the thing, I haven't shampooed her yet or anything, and I haven't done the number 2, but I used OLAPLEX on her. And I just wanna put this through and tone out these blondes and just make them a little bit softer, not so bright yellow. We want it to be a nice soft blonde. Right? Or no? Did you want it really bright?
Oh, let's go soft.
Okay, so here's what I'm looking for. Her hair is not purple, but it's like this ashy blonde now. So I think it's good. If you want to push it a little bit more, you can wait until it starts to turn really ashy, but really I think this will be just soft enough. So we're going to say it's good. How long was that? Like 2 minutes? It wasn't very long. I'm going to do some number 2 on her head now. So I'm serious. Listen, I'm just going to massage this into her hair for 10 minutes. This is a nice little head massage. Here we go. So I always have to remind my clients when I've done something and they're like wanting to be blonde. When it's wet, you can see this, you guys. It looks pretty dark. As soon as we dry this, all that blonde's going to pop out and separate because it kind of just gets like a sheer see-through, especially when it's this light. And then you can only see the dark through it. So this is like actually what my hair looks like when it's wet. All right, this is the finished product. She is now blonde with low lights. And so yeah, let's see the before and after side by side. I love making Davy do that. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think this suits her better? Do you think it's going to be easier for her natural color to grow in and not be as drastic of a change? What do you guys think? I think it looks really pretty on her. And her hair actually feels really good considering what it just went through. It still feels really healthy. So thank you, OLAPLEX, and thank you everyone for watching. And make sure you guys give a thumbs up to this video. It doesn't cost any money to thumbs it up. It's free. It doesn't cost to subscribe either. So subscribe, click the thumbs up. Okay, you guys, I just fixed my crazy hair. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Snapchat, Periscope. I already said that one. Everywhere else. And thank you for everyone who's been tagging me on their Instagram pictures that they've done. That's so much fun for me. I love seeing your guys' work. And I love you all. Thanks for watching. Bye. Okay, so on this underneath one I had 1. And so on this one I'm just going to do the 2 edges and bring it down. So you can pull it a little bit tighter to a V shape.